Palestine is getting closer to China. The Chinese Communist Party established a partnership with the Palestinian Authority on June 14th. To understand what this means, I spoke with Rabbi Yaakov Menken, Managing Director of the Coalition for Jewish Values. Rabbi Yaakov Menken, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, Palestine is getting closer to the Chinese Communist Party, who we know is committing genocide against the Uyghur Muslims, Falun Gong practitioners, and persecuting a number of other groups. What does that say about Palestine?
Well, you know, the narrative of Palestine has been from the outset more about attacking Jews than supporting the right of Muslims or Arabs. Remember that for 2,000 years, the word Palestinian actually was referring to Jews. So this is like a theft of an entire Jewish identity over 2,000 years that they're claiming now to be the rightful owners of that land. And here we have China backing them while their agenda is really one, again, of fighting the Jewish people. I mean, this just kind of proves it because, as you pointed out, China is the largest persecutor of Muslims right now in the world. So an organization or a group or a government that really cared about Muslim rights and Muslim civil liberties and just basic rights from torture and imprisonment would certainly not be cozying up to the Chinese right now.
What does this alliance mean in terms of China's ambition to shift the balance of power globally?
Well, you know, obviously they're casting their lot with one particular side by cozying up. I mean, this is the anti-civil rights, anti-humanity side. And obviously the West is committed to a certain set of values and individual rights and liberties, which you do not have in China. And you do not have, for that matter, under the Palestinian Authority, much less in Gaza under the terror organization Hamas. So it really says something that this alliance or this coming together is just China trying to increase its power globally and push down the West.
Now, China's trying to position itself as the mediator of peace between Israel and Palestine. You talked about some of the moral implications of this before our interview. What are those implications?
Well, you know, it's basically, first of all, to the Chinese, the CCP. I mean, good luck with that. They're not able to be an honest broker if they're in the process of making an alliance, particularly with one side. This is actually not a hard conflict, as we see from the West's efforts with the Abraham Accords, for example, which is the most stunning upending of a certain hateful narrative that had been going on for decades, that peace cannot be done or peace is held hostage by the Palestinians. They're just trying to shore up the Palestinian Authority in the wake of such a move and say, no, we're going to hold peace hostage. So that's not a real peace effort at all now, is it?
Now, Rabbi, we know the Palestine Authority backs terrorist organizations. What does it mean that the Chinese Communist Party is partnering with this kind of entity? Well,
you know, it all takes us back to that same issue, that here you have the anti-human rights, the anti-individual liberties. You know, what could quite seriously, if people were willing to talk in language like this anymore, you would call it an alliance of darkness. Because you have the CCP, which is busy oppressing Uyghur Muslims and trampling the civil rights of its own people. And you have the Palestinian Authority, which is trampling the civil rights of its own people. And simultaneously, it's not just a matter of supporting terror organizations, it's paying terrorists, individual terrorists who committed acts of terror. They or their families get substantial financial rewards from the Palestinian Authority under something called pay to slay. And it's actually a real dark mark on the Biden administration that they've resumed funding to the Palestinian Authority while the Palestinian Authority is still paying terrorists. It kind of turns the United States, much less the CCP, into a state sponsor of terror. And that's not somewhere we want to be.
Wow, that's horrible. Rabbi Yaakov Menken, Managing Director of the Coalition for Jewish Values, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.